stretch here. We've got 2 sessions. I'm going to be announcing the next one. I'm going to invite my panelists up to talk about supply chain orchestration, what it means, how do you get value from it. So my 2 panelists, I've got Shree from Microsoft, and I've got Tushar from CloudPaths. All right, well, welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, well, first let's start with some intros. We'll start with you, Shree. So you work at Microsoft supply chain, and to be honest, when I first thought about it, I'm like, I think I have some old Windows 95 disks at home, but
support,
you don't even send out disks anymore. So what does supply chain mean for Microsoft, just generally? Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, no, I heard this a couple of times when we talk about supply chain. They say, you're a software company, right?
Yeah.
That's what Microsoft brand has been. But you'd be surprised, Microsoft has a 2 big hardware business. One is our devices business, which is Surface and Xbox and PC accessories. Another is a cloud business, which, all your server racks, compute, storage, network, GPU, that powers all our Azure services. And there's a huge supply chain that powers this end-to-end, and I run the IT solution that powers this supply chain.
So for all the companies, all the cloud providers like ourselves, well, we don't have hardware in our environments anymore. Well,
so
whenever
you go get a resource from Azure, the underlying infrastructure that powers comes from the supply chain.
Excellent, excellent. Now, Tushar, you're with CloudPaths. I promised in our prep, I'm not going to tell anybody how many decades we've worked together, but it's been more than one.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about CloudPaths.
Sure. So CloudPaths is basically a company which would help a lot of businesses implement intelligent supply chain solutions, right? It would include SAP solutions as well as the AI embedded solutions on top of it, right? So we help customers in planning, execution, and throughout logistics and warehouse and collaboration, internal and external, right, with your entire supply chains. So CloudPaths is a consulting partner for a lot of firms who are on their journey, on these transformation journeys to implement advanced planning solutions.
Great. Well, I'm excited about having you both here. It really is an opportunity for us to get practical. You're both real practitioners. One in your own company, and Tushar, for you helping many companies across their transformation journeys. So first of all, looking right up at the title, supply chain orchestration. All right, that sounds like a fancy marketing word. Somebody paid a lot of money to a marketing firm to get that made. Let's be real concrete about it. Starting with Microsoft, what does supply chain orchestration mean for you personally? What's it mean for Microsoft? And maybe, if you can, touch on it a little bit broader. What's it mean in the high-tech industry specifically?
Wow, great questions. Yeah. So if I have to think about what is supply chain orchestration, the way I would say is that how can I connect or coordinate my end-to-end supply chain activity by connecting data, processes, my partner ecosystem, right? End of the day, it's an ecosystem play. How do I bring this ecosystem together to enable my end-to-end process flow, right? So that's where it plays a critical role, because when you look at all the panel topics that we had today, right, talking about be it tariff, be it inflation, be it resiliency and all that stuff, there are so many players who are involved in enabling that. And how we can seamlessly coordinate and bring them together, that becomes super critical right now, right? So I think it's the same thing for Microsoft also, right? As we scale, how am I bringing my partners into the mix as I'm scaling?
Got it. So let's just dive in a little bit more on the partner angle. So when you say partners, what are the kind of entities that includes?
So it can be, it is multiple, right? Like it starts with our manufacturing partners, to our distributors, to our service integrator, who's kind of manufacturing also, then our logistics partner, and so on, right? And this, we are talking about 2 businesses, both on the devices side and also on the cloud side.
So we're probably talking thousands or tens of thousands when you really look at the supply chain. All right, so Tushar, you've got a little bit of a broader view across multiple industries, multiple clients that you work with. What does supply chain orchestration mean for you?
See, I think what we've seen is it's basically bringing all the internal, external partners, right? So within your ecosystem, you will have the internal partners. You have your logistics, as Shree said, right? And you have your execution team and your planning organization. And how do you basically make a decision that is across the three streams, right? Is bringing all that visibility of the processes and everything together so that you can actually make those orchestrated decisions across your supply chain. A couple of things that we see is like partners from a Microsoft perspective or looking at other semiconductor that's behind it or their fab companies behind it, how they will actually seamlessly try to share intelligent data and make intelligent decisions, right? Yeah.
Got it. So when you're working on the orchestration projects, we're obviously talking about supply chain orchestration here, but do you also see involvement from other groups outside of the supply chain team as you're looking for these?
Yeah, you see a lot of involvement from the sales organizations, right, in terms of what their outlook is, right, and also from the finance teams, right, in terms of spend. These days, we're hearing a lot of tariff considerations and everything, and COGS going up, and how do you basically factor those in, right? And again, the supply chain, which was kind of past of conversation, right? It's like it was a back office, has become a boardroom conversation now, right? Where basically we're bringing it to a final on the table where you can make decisions only when the product is available, right? One of our customers is running through their biggest shortage of all times, and they can't produce chips fast enough. And the biggest thing they want to know is when can they deliver to the market, because that's what you have to publish on your Wall Street. So supply chain teams are involved directly to represent what is going to be our bookings in terms of like what would we ship out within this quarter or not, right? So that's where it's expanding into more broader conversation, just behind saving a transportation cost and saving on certain things. It's becoming a more strategic conversation.
And Shree, for Microsoft, I mean, you're a big company, you have over 100,000 employees. I could see it could be easy to kind of silo this off in the supply chain organization. Are you coordinating with other teams outside of supply chain, and who are they, and how are you aligning with them?
Absolutely, like similarly what Tushar mentioned, right? Like finance play a key role, like, as we look at the end-to-end operations, right? How do we integrate back to the finance becomes important. And also our product groups, right? Be it office teams and all our product group, we have to work with them also very closely to make sure that we meet their demand needs also, right? So that becomes a critical part. And also beyond Microsoft, when I look at it, that's where the partner ecosystem comes into the play as well.
Got it. All right, so we kind of have a handle on what it is, what's your vision around it. Now let's talk a little bit like, why should companies care? This isn't no one's into doing graduate school science experiments. So at Microsoft, what kind of problems were you looking to solve? What challenges did you have to go on this journey?
See, one thing why this orchestration is super important, and that the traditional response, and I have a traditional response, and I will tell you why it is important going forward more and more. One is having that real-time visibility across your nodes, right, and intelligently synchronize actions based on that real-time visibility, and react is super critical, right? And how fast you react to the situation and how you help the operations teams to do that has become super important. And also, and that's a very classic way, right? Historically, everybody used data for that. But as I look at this more and more, this becomes a foundation when we think about AI. Because when you look at a process end to end, the process involves a bunch of systems, bunch of humans and things into the place, right? And that's how your end-to-end process is being functioning, right? Now, with AI and having AI look at this orchestration layer more closely and triggering those actions between systems and keeping human in the loop, or having another AI agent to do the task, right? So this becomes the foundational, right? Which my AI can look at it and then execute it end to end, right? So this becomes super foundational as I look at this.
Excellent. And Tushar, tell me a little bit about what you're seeing across your multiple clients. What are the types of problems that they're looking to solve, to think about, I need to orchestrate my supply chain, I need to orchestrate my people, my process and technology internally and externally?
So again, I think a lot of teams have spent a long time, right? Like they are able to get through all the data, but it's in a lot of disconnected systems or a lot of disconnected processes, right? So one of the use cases that we worked with another almond supplier was basically they're getting IoT data, but they don't know what to do with it. Another customer, CPG, they're getting POS data, but they don't know how to basically make any sense out of it, right? So putting all this together, adding the layer of intelligence on top of it, where humans cannot, at some point, not look at massive amounts of data and process it as well, right? So that is where a little bit of AI to help assist them, make sense of that data, drive insights out of that information, right? And sense what are the signals that are coming to them, right? So those are some use cases that some customers have gone in implementing to bring in. One is crop data, right? So one of our customers on the almond side is using crop data to predict what is going to be the next few years worth of yield, right? If they're looking at land acquisitions, they're looking at a lot of other data set and kind of predict that. So orchestrating their futures of supply chains in that sense, right?
So you mentioned a few industries in the conversation here. Are there industries that are kind of moving a little bit faster, those that are taking a more cautious approach? Who's leading out front in your perspective?
I think high-tech semi is definitely leading, but again, there is high-tech semi is always bogged down with the constraint problems, right?
Yes.
They're always on the constraint side, right? They're looking at how do I fulfill this demand that I have because my supply chains are constrained. The other industries also are picking up this from an inventory optimization perspective, right? How do I actually rebalance my supply chain? How do I position the right thing at the right place versus reduce my wastage? So there are different use cases that every industry is kind of looking at it from their perspective, right? Which is, if you're in food and bev, you want to put AI to reduce your waste. You want to reduce those elements of your supply chain, reduce your cost, right? Versus if you're in high tech, you want to deliver product faster, right? You want to figure out how do I sense my demand better, send my signals to my supply chain ecosystem well in advance so that they can deliver faster. Right?
Got it. So it sounds like relevance and import across many, many industries.
Yeah.
It's just where do you focus and what
Exactly.
your biggest problem is. All right, so speaking of tackling the problem, it sounds like a big problem. You know, it sounds like it spans depths of your supply chain, multiple tiers. It spans across your organization and business units. So how'd you get started at Microsoft? I mean, you're a big company. This could easily get overwhelming. So where did you start your transformation project?
So the one thing which we coined within Microsoft is something called Lean plus AI. What does that mean is first we go look at the whole org process and then identify, hey, the steps that are value add, non-value add, or essential value add, and all that stuff. So go look at the process end to end, not worry about the systems in play right now, just understand the process, leanify the process by eliminating the muda. And then now, how can you make that process efficient and better by automating it, by getting the right players involved and things like that, right? So that's where the Lean plus AI becomes super critical. And we have seen that really working by when we go look at process by process and applying the same thing over and over, right? Obviously, one thing I would say is that the key is, based on our experience, what we are seeing is it all starts with making sure you have your clean master data. You have a clean system of records in place, right? You have a good integration model, right? Because when you start integrating with all these partner ecosystem, how seamless you can integrate with them, because it's not just that you bring your systems up to speed or get to the standard. Your partner ecosystem should also meet the standard of what you are, right? So how seamless you can bring them to this journey, right? How seamless they can connect, right? That becomes another important aspect of it, right? So yeah, these are a few things that we have done.
Okay. And then Tushar, I mean, it's probably tempting to say, hey, you know what? Microsoft has it easy. They have 80,000 world-class engineers who know AI. They can do that all day long. So what are you seeing as a place to get started for companies that don't have tens of thousands of AI engineers to work with?
I think for companies, I think they have to find where the biggest value is for them, right? As I was going through my previous example, the biggest value in certain industries is different than one versus the other, right? So the processes that bring in the biggest value, where you can actually realize some financial benefit, some effort benefit, right, from a human perspective, where it's not humanly possible or it takes a long time, right? So I think those are the areas where we are seeing customers focus on, that these processes have high value or have a higher impact on my overall visibility and velocity for my supply chain, right? So we kind of say, if it can increase your speed for decision making, that's where you need to invest your value in. Again, it takes a long time. First, it's all about, as Shree said, it's all about data. Bringing in that data is the most important thing, and then you layer in the AI or technologies on top of it, right? So that's where the point is. The biggest driver that we see is adoption, right? Again, it's a willingness from the teams, right, from our core business users to kind of adopt this newer technology and find value in it. I think with this new age and race, we are seeing a lot more people getting onto, with the boom with the AI now, a lot of people want to have this conversation of AI. I would remember 10 years ago, you talked to somebody about use statistical forecast, and they would say no, right? I know better. But with AI now, everybody wants to know, how can I actually use AI in my process? So this has definitely given a boost to the future of technology.
Yeah, and I know we talked about it in a couple of the other panels. Obviously, as providers, technology providers, we're excited about AI.
Yeah.
We need to be. We think that's the future of our industry. It sounds like the companies that you're working with in broader industries, they're also embracing it. There's not a caution around it.
There is not a caution, yeah. I think with everybody, the whole world talking about AI, it's time to embrace it rather than actually and it's every CIO's directives or every CEO, Chief Supply Chain Officer's directive to say, where can they implement AI? So the first question that we are being asked is, okay, where is AI in this? Like what pieces will I get better with, and how can I bring in external intelligence into it, right? Market data, which was always a problem for organizations to source, now is easily available to them right away at the fingertips. So that's what they want to bring in, all that intelligence into those future models, right, that they want to build.
Great. And both of you just talked about value. And you talked about this top-down push that I've heard over and over again across multiple industries, multiple customers. Hey, if there's not AI in it, don't come talk to me about it. But at the same time, just because it's AI, it doesn't mean you're going to get checked, go forward. How do you quantify the value? How did you sell this to your upline, particularly a CFO or your financial teams, to fund the project, to move forward? Because it could be a big, daunting project.
Absolutely, yeah. So the key thing is, as everybody knows, right, when we look at AI, how does it help in my productivity, right? So, and how does it help to scale non-linearly, right? Because earlier we used to go automate things and things like that, but now with AI, as Tushar said, we can do things, and we can identify meanings out of vast data signals, which earlier we were not able to do that, right? So, and how can I use all those richness of these information and scale my operation in a very non-linear way, right? So that as my business grows, we don't need to grow that much headcount. And from the engineering standpoint, from an IT standpoint, that plays a huge role, right? How can I drive my software engineer productivity? And to start with that, right? And then build a system that kind of helps the operations team's productivity, right? So it all boils down to the productivity and scale.
Got it. And then Tushar, from your clients, you've done a lot of projects.
Yeah.
How do you see this sold, positioned, the value evaluated and quantified to get the projects kicked off?
I think the biggest value is, yes, to speed up the decision-making process and make it more intelligent and make it more like visible from a data point perspective when you're making a decision. It should have all the data, it should have considered all the data points, right? So few of our customers are even going beyond the bounds of it to basically have their own rewrite of certain things that they want to design their way, and have invested their own data science teams and brought in additional AI scientists in there to kind of evaluate some external data points. But where the value of this is, at the end of the day, quicker decision-making, faster decision-making, that's where it'll help you. We are also talking a lot about it's basically plan and forget versus it's going to be where we want the AI to first actually, it's right now at the stage of sensing, right? And making certain decisions and bringing it to the humans to kind of make those decisions, right? And help the humans to make those decisions, right? And at certain level of maturity, we're going to slowly see it making certain decisions which are within the tolerance to kind of go act and become agents to kind of go in and execute certain transactions on our behalf, right? If it's a create a purchase order, it's an automated process. It can actually go create a purchase order for you, right? So help the users even with certain robotic process automation we talked about, right? So RPA steps, which the agents can perform on behalf of and speed up those decisions, right?
Got it, got it. We have time for a couple more questions, and then we'll open it up at the end. Maybe we'll get a couple minutes from the audience. In terms of AI maturity, adoption, do you see us at Microsoft in particular? You're probably one of the companies in the lead on the AI forefront because it's your products. You've got skilled people. Are we at the beginning? Are we kind of at our stride now? Are we have you wrung all the benefits out of it? Where do you see it from a life cycle perspective?
I would say we are still in the beginning, right? Because if you really look at it, we are still working on how do I get the richness of my data and provide a meaning out of the data, and how can I give that to my business so that they can use the natural language and make decision faster by mixing all this thing, right? And that is something, that use case is what we see largely being used. Now, how am I using the different models to drive further more enhancements, right? One of the things that we have done in our hardware engineering space is how am I bringing this intelligence to do the shift left? Like as I'm designing my product, right? How do I looking at my sustainability data, right? How am I looking at my supplier risk and all that stuff while designing the product so that the hardware engineer who is designing the product knows that, oh, I should not pick this part because there's an alternate part available because the sustainability number is much better there, or this is a supplier risk, right? So those are things are the standard use case that we have seen where it is largely contextualized, largely based on looking at all these data streams and synthesize and things like that. And another thing which we have spent good amount of time with Microsoft is the training. How we are upskilling the business both on using AI. Because the key thing is, how do I use these agents or AI solution with human in the loop is going to be super critical, right? And so it's very important to have business working with this AI side by side, right? So that's another thing which we have really invested on. But it's a journey, and we have been in this journey.
So Tushar, you have a little broader base of customers and industries that you work with. Where do you see it for them? Just getting started, they're at their stride. Where do you see the adoption?
Just getting started.
It's just getting
like
started.
most of them are just getting started with looking at it, and again, beyond the high techs and the others, but a lot of customers are in their initial steps of saying, okay, I need to do this. And as I said, finding a use case, defining the sometimes actually understanding whether they have the data in-house or structured properly as well, right? And then looking at the models to see, okay, what works for them, right? What is the best use case that they should go after, and how much value would it bring to them? So it's still at a very early stage, right? And as we go forward, as Shree just said, we have a customer who's actually asking, I want AI to design my supply chain network, right? So network design. We're looking at plant designs, right? Somebody's asking, okay, I want to basically design where I put my manufacturing machines and where should my ramps be. So they want to actually use AI to design some of those things, right? Which were previously done based on certain assumptions and algorithms to say, okay, this is how you structure your manufacturing facility. So the design element is coming to AI, right? Which is the new piece where we will see the AI actually help us with designing our supply chains as well. Right?
Yeah. And what I was saying before, right, when the whole lean plus AI concept, right, where we look at the whole process and see what all the system steps and where all the humans getting involved. And that's another good area to look at, right? Looking at that whole view and see where is that human task is and how do I go make that human task much more efficient with the help of AI, right? So that's where when I said that, hey, looking at lean, looking at that whole process becomes super foundational.
Got it. Got it. I want to have my last question to ask about where do you see this all going, the future. But before we jump into the future, I want to ask, kind of current state, a little bit more on that. Any thoughts or recommendations? What are the key success factors, or maybe what are some landmines or hurdles that you ran into on your projects that you'd like to share?
I would say the biggest thing is let's be very clear on the outcome. Because a lot of times this becomes another shiny object, right? And sometimes it's easy to do over-engineering. And because I've seen scenario where a Power BI report would have helped, but people would like to create an AI solution for it, right? So it's very important to understand what's the key business outcome and what are those right metrics that we can use to monitor the measure of that outcome. And once we deploy the solution, let's keep making sure that we are hitting that outcome, right? I would say that's the number one thing. The second thing is, apart from the outcome is, I would say, the overall upskilling. I think that's super critical, right? Because upskilling and the change management. And that's become one of the biggest learning that we have seen. How do we get the people along in this journey? So the whole upskilling and change management becomes equally important as well.
And for the upskilling, so for your more tenured employees, are they excited about learning new stuff? Not excited? Where do they stand on that?
I think, see, what we did within Microsoft is we had a lot of 101. We made it as a competition, like in the sense a fun game kind of a thing. Gamified it a little bit, where there's a bunch of training with the certification and the percentage, and we kind of compare saying that how is each group doing, and it was a little bit of a mix of a fun thing, and that really helped. And one gentleman saying that it's not that AI is going to take the job, like the people who are using AI, and I completely agree with that gentleman's response. So people are encouraged to learn and then try.
Yeah, I think gamifying the upskilling is a great idea. Yeah. Tushar, I'll ask the question over to you. So, major lessons learned, pitfalls, hurdles to share.
So I think she just shared some good ones. One of the things that I would say is don't make AI solve all of the problems. Right? AI is not there to solve all the problems. AI can augment some data that's missing, right? But I've seen customers asking for traditional optimization and other problems to be solved by AI. It's not AI, right? That's optimization. And AI can help assist how you understand the data that you're feeding some of those things. So we're seeing that trend in our customers. We've also seen some customers heavily invest in certain areas and then figure out they have a good tool, but nobody's ready to use it, right?
Yeah,
because adoption is the key, right? They have good reports, they have good viewpoints, insights, but they're not able to successfully launch it within the business, right? And get that adoption going on certain things. And it's a journey sometimes. You have to start probably from the problem and then find a solution versus create a solution and then find the problem.
Yeah.
Right. So.
And one more thing I would add is that start small and iterate through it. I think that's another key thing.
Got it. So now I'll ask a little bit about the future here in the few minutes we have left. We're on stage at NASCES for the 15th anniversary. What's the story you're going to tell? What does the future look like for supply chain 5 years from now, thinking about orchestration and AI, the technologies we're looking at?
Good.
I'll start?
Yeah.
Okay. I think from 5 years from now, I would say you won't need us here. Wouldn't there be a few agents talking on behalf of us, right? So, but yeah, I think it's going to be the story of where we have a better intelligent decision flow, right, from a supply chain perspective, and it'll be well orchestrated. We're making intelligent decisions based on using some of the capabilities out of AI and get to that maturity, right? Today we are starting small in smaller use cases, but it'll become broader across the entire supply chain where we're able to have multiple different things. Agents talk to each other and collaborate as well, right? And help us making a decision, right? I think, and supply chains, it'll help supply chains become more and more resilient, right? I think we are seeing last 4 or 5 years, we're seeing supply chains already become more resilient to change. People have adopted, right? I think first 5 years ago when we were in the pandemic, every supply chain disruption seemed to be a big thing. Now, I think we have become resilient as humans, right, on how to tackle new and new problems that come our way. So I think it's going to make us more and more resilient.
Got it. And I'd say for Microsoft, y'all are probably legitimately a couple of years ahead of most companies today, just given the knowledge and skills and resources you have. Where do you see Microsoft in 5 years from a supply chain perspective? What's it look like?
I think Microsoft is already, if you look at our CapEx on the cloud, we spend $90 billion on the CapEx. So we are slowly moving to a hardware company, actually, right? So hardware is going to play a very critical role in this. And to answer your first part also, right, I agree with Tushar, it's going to be an AI-enabled supply chain. And one thing which we always say is that every individual become an agent boss, right? Where every individual have a bunch of agents working for them to make their life better, right? So everybody will be wearing that hat of an agent boss.
Awesome. Well, I like the sound of that. 5 years from now, I hope we're back here discussing this again.
Yeah.
With that, we have just a couple of minutes for any questions that anybody might have. All right. Well, I'd like to thank you both for this. It's been enlightening. It's exciting journeys. It's exciting seeing what you all are doing, not only at a leading company like Microsoft, but across the industries that CloudPath's working on. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.